college and in 2 graduate school situations. I had 3 influential teachers, I think. And I was mostly, I won't say at odds, but I was mostly, I found it difficult, let's put it that way. I found it difficult to work with those teachers because I felt so deeply about what I was writing, and inevitably they asked me to make changes. I later learned that as a professor, you really have to ask for that. But it was hard for me because of how strongly I felt about what I was doing. Maybe that's a good thing in some ways too. And when I finally was out of school and came here as a young professor, I was absolutely thrilled about the possibility that I could write whatever I wanted. It was going to be my music entirely. I was free of those influences. Well, what happened was I wrote a couple of pieces that I thought were really me, right? And they were very depressing ultimately to me. They really weren't what I wanted at all. It was the resistance had been personal, perhaps, I don't know, but I found myself more and more making use of the learning I had gotten, and well, that's a really wonderful thing in a way. Even if you find yourself right now not enjoying what your professor might be telling you, someday you may find that it really is of some value. I guess I hope that for myself, because I really did. Ultimately, I think I made use of everything I learned from those people, which is, I'm very happy about that. My style has gotten, has become a complex mix of influences that, and the consistency within that. I mean, sometimes people will find a negative in the fact that the stylistic language can change. The language can be at one point intensely contemporary and discordant, and at another time extremely mellow and laid back and even reactionary. I think that's okay, frankly. I think that's not a bad thing. What stays constant, I think, is a certain rigor that I got from one of my teachers, I think. I've mentioned this in other places, but it's a compositional rigor. I believe that pieces should be well made, right? Exhibiting compositional expertise, not simply thrown together. I think that's consistent. I think a certain rhythmic energy that is related to dance, certain kinds of dances anyway, has been an influence and a consistent element in my music for a long time. I've written a lot of pieces actually named after dances. And then humor. I think there's humor in some of my music. Maybe not always, but it's often there. I don't think a composer is ever satisfied. You write a piece of music, at least I write a piece of music, and I'm thrilled while I'm doing it often. I mean, that's one of the greatest parts about being creative is just those moments when you're all alone in a room and suddenly something works and you get to do it. It almost seems to come from beyond you. I know people say that, and it sounds really kind of strange, but it really does sometimes. And it's exhilarating, and it's positive. And then the work gets played, and by the time it's played, usually it's months and months after the creative process has ended, maybe even longer than that. And it always leaves me thinking, if I could write another piece now, it would be so much better. And therefore every piece is has that new excitement of having the potential to be better. I can't say exactly, you know, what that better would be, but it keeps you going. It keeps me working.